Hi, thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. This is Patricia. Please press subscribe, like, and share. Okay, so this is part two of God. Are we brainwashed? Now, for some reason, I don't really understand this myself, but people will listen to whatever people tell you about anything, and you never ask questions. I was telling you that my mother was saying, you don't question God. But I have a friend whose father was a minister and her husband was a minister. And she was telling me whenever she was getting ready to, ask questions about something that was in the Bible, or just ask, that they would, if she asked too many questions, they would say, you don't question God. And when the questions got deep, they would say, well, that's just the devil trying to confuse you. No, it's not the devil trying to confuse you. It's that the preacher, whoever you're talking to, don't know the answer. And again, we've been taught you don't question God, so therefore you don't question. Now, I had somebody tell me recently, yeah, Pat, but that's what Sunday school is for. I think he told me Sunday school, or Bible study, is when people ask questions. Well, okay, how many people ask questions during that time? You don't. You just take whatever they say. If they tell you Jesus was sitting on top of the moon, you believe that Jesus was sitting on top of the moon. You don't ask any questions about anything. Now, I want you all, because I don't want you to believe what I say. I want you to research this and find out for yourself. God is within you. And if you ask to be shown something, it will lead and guide you to be shown. Because let me tell you, I didn't know from Adam where to look to find out the truth about religious. Actually, after I had told you, like I said in the first tape, I had said that I had asked God to please show me about Jesus. And then I also asked God to please show me the truth. And I was led to all type of secret documents and things like that. So you could just ask God to show you what is true about whatever particular part you're trying to find out that's true about religious. And God will definitely lead you and guide you. Some of you have never even experienced God. So how do you even know there's a God? If you haven't experienced it, how can you say you know? I know. You know something because you experienced it. I have experienced God on many, many occasions, which I will go on and tell you about that on another tape. But I have. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt there is a higher intelligence. I know that. But how many of you could say you know that? Not many. You will say, oh, I know it is because the church said it was. How do you know? This is you, Barbara, Anthony, whoever listening in the audience. How do you know if you don't question and seek God for yourself and stop being led around like you're a dog with a chain in your nose and believing everything that they tell you about religious? Do you know that religious, first of all, Jesus never even created a religious in the first place. The religious is man-made. And you could go back to look on every single religious, see who, I had a list of that. I had a list of it. I don't know what I did with it, but I had a list that told you every religious and who created it and the year it was created and the month that it was created. It wasn't created by God. It was created by man. But you still, there are some people who, if it's not in the Bible, honey, they ain't trying to hear it. I never really understood that either since the Bible was man-made. But I remember I've had several people tell me, no, but the Bible was inspired. It was inspired by the men, by God to write it. That's not true. Constantine, who was an emperor back in the day, put together a group of ministers or priests or religious people to have them rewrite the Bible, write the Bible as to how they wanted to write the Bible because of the political tensions in the air at the time. So he got these groups together of ministers, priests, and they were all priests, but I'm just saying ministers, and put them all together in a room and had them write the Bible. But again, the tone was what was going on political at that time. So it was basically used to control people. It was no men in no room that got no inspiration from God. So I don't understand for the life of me why people believe it as if it was the live of God. I mean, live or die of all things. God is within you. And when you hear that voice from God, that's the live or die of all things. Because that's, you're talking to God, is inspiring you or telling you or giving you a message. A book is words. And it's some people you can't even pull away from the Bible. I mean, meaning like when I say pull away, because I don't try to pull people away. But what I'm saying is that if I say, ask God, go fast for 3 days and ask God so and so. They're not gonna do it because if it's not in the Bible, they don't believe it's there. They don't. In other words, they trust the Bible more than they trust God. Because I've told people, if you sit down, and I've tried to tell people how to communicate with God and things like that, and they'll still believe that what it says in the Bible is more sacred than if they were to hear God's mouth. Now, I think it's because maybe they don't trust their self, or maybe they don't really believe that God is in them. Because how can you believe that God is in you if you've never experienced it? You just believe in what people just tell you. You don't know what you're talking about. You say he in you because the church or whoever else say he in you. You don't know he in you for you to know that. You know what I mean? So therefore, maybe you don't trust your own self to listen to the voice and hear it for yourself. You trust it more if it's coming from Moses or something like that. So I want you to look. So anyway, I don't want you, like I said, to believe what I'm saying. Go to God yourself and look it up. Or I'm going to give you some things so you could go research and look up things yourself and ask your pastor or whatever church or religious you belong to, ask them about it, or simply still yourself and ask God about it yourself. Okay, so one thing is, if you look at all of the religious in the history, in other words, back in Egyptian days. And then I want you to look at the Greek religions and, other religions too. Indian, I think that's Buddhism. No, not Buddhism. I don't want you to look at Buddhism. Look at the Greek myth of religions and then look back in Egyptian days. And then just look at other ones, because it's good to look at other religions and see what their beliefs are back in the day, not now. What you'll notice is the historical religious, like when I say historical, I mean like coming out of Jesus or Greek, things like that. They all say the same thing. They all use some man. His name is different. It's not all Jesus, but some being that came forth, taught, and that being was the Christ, became the Christ. They all say that. Even in the Egyptian days, they don't use the word Christ, but that's what it is. They all become the Christ. You just read it. I don't want to tell you anything about it. Just read it and see. And through all of that time, they all say the same. Now, this is not okay. So you might say, oh yeah, because they say that because they're talking about Jesus. No, they're not talking about Jesus. This is before. These are religious that were before Jesus' time, before Jesus was born. Egyptian time. All of them say the same thing, but yet Jesus wasn't even born yet when the Egyptian religious, I think it's Horus and what's her name, Isaac, or not Isaac. What is it? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. But those religions back in Egyptian days, I want you to just look at all of them and compare them. And you'll see that they all say the same thing. They're all saying it, and yet they were in different time periods, but they all say the same thing. Religious has been used to control people. What is the best way to keep society under control? It's religious. When I was a little girl, I was little. I mean, when I say little, I mean I had to be about 10. And I knew inside of me that there was somebody or some people or some organization that were teaching about God and religious, but they were falsifying information and it wasn't true. Now, I don't know where I got this from because my mother never told me that. They never said it in the Muslim temple, never. But I used to say that. I remember talking to my friends and I was saying, well, religious is just used. I'm 10, about 10, between 10 and 12. And I'm just saying, well, religious is used to control people because it's not true what they tell us. They made up different stuff so they can control the masses. And I remember when I got a little older, maybe 13 or 14, a friend of mine said, you've been saying that for years, she was somebody I knew a long time. She said, who are they? When you say they are trying to control us, who are they? I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who they are. I really didn't know who they are. But I knew that it was some people, somewhere or something. You know what I mean? I couldn't put it together. But I knew this was true. It wasn't until I was really, really older that I understood about, they say, I'm sure you all heard this, it's like 5 families that we know of that control everything that go on the planet. And they have transformed the, over the education and put what they wanted to put in history. They control the news and things like that. Well, what I found out is that they were the one also to control the religious. When some of the stories that were in the Bible, I remember hearing years ago that anybody could come and add stuff to the Bible, in other words. Other people have added stuff to the Bible, but I guess, and this was on the History Channel. This was on television History Channel, on cable. And they were saying about 2 rabbis that had come and added some of the stories that were in the Bible. But let me tell you something, because I want to let you understand where I came from. I was very, very spiritual. Believed everything that was in the Bible. If a biblical picture came on, honey, I would watch. I watch it every single time it come on TV. I don't care what biblical picture it was. And I would keep watching it every time it came on. So if it came on next year, I'm sitting at the TV like I ain't never seen it before. The 10 Commandments, every time it come on, I'm right there. You know what I mean? I better cut this tape short because it's coming at 15 minutes. I will make a part 3. Thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show.